Have you ever noticed that the people who give the most are often appreciated the least? It seems unfair, doesn't it? You show up when others need you. You sacrifice your time, your energy, your opportunities, and sometimes even your peace of mind. You believe that if you continue to be kind, people will eventually recognize your value. But instead of receiving respect, you find yourself being taken for granted. Instead of gratitude, you receive more demands. Instead of appreciation, you become the person everyone expects to keep giving without question. This is one of the hardest truths to accept because kindness itself is not the problem. The problem begins when kindness has no boundaries. Think about how people learn to treat you. They don't simply observe what you say, they observe what you allow. Every interaction becomes a lesson. If someone asks for a favor and you immediately drop everything to help, they notice. If they interrupt your plans and you never object, they notice. If they cross your limits and you smile anyway, they notice that too. Over time, your generosity stops looking like a gift and starts looking like an obligation. Human nature adapts very quickly. What once impressed people eventually becomes what they expect. The first time you sacrifice for someone, they may feel grateful. The 10th time, they assume you'll do it again. The 20th time, they stop asking whether it's convenient for you. They simply expect your availability because you've trained them to believe your needs always come second. This isn't because people are necessarily cruel. It's because people naturally adapt to patterns. Whatever you repeatedly tolerate becomes normal. Whatever you repeatedly provide without conditions becomes expected. The tragedy is that many kind people believe that giving more will finally earn the respect they've been missing. In reality, endless giving often lowers your perceived value because what is always available is rarely treasured. Imagine a beautiful river that flows endlessly. It nourishes everything around it. But if there are no banks to guide that river, it floods the land, causing destruction instead of life. Boundaries are those riverbanks. They don't stop kindness, they give it direction. They protect both you and the people around you from turning generosity into exploitation. Many people confuse boundaries with selfishness. They believe saying no makes them a bad person. They apologize for protecting their time. They feel guilty for resting. They fear disappointing others more than they fear abandoning themselves. But every unnecessary apology sends a silent message: your comfort matters more than mine. The people who command lasting respect understand something powerful. They help because they choose to, not because they are afraid of rejection. They give freely, but they also know when to step back. They understand that every yes should have purpose, and every no should protect something valuable. You don't need to become cold, distant, or unkind. You don't have to stop caring about people. The goal is not to harden your heart. The goal is to strengthen your standards. Kindness becomes truly powerful when it comes from confidence rather than fear. When people know your generosity is a choice instead of a weakness, they begin to appreciate it differently. Ask yourself a difficult question. Are you helping because it aligns with your values, or because you're afraid someone might dislike you if you refuse? That single question can expose years of hidden habits. Many people spend their entire lives chasing acceptance, believing that constant sacrifice is the price of belonging. But belonging that requires you to betray yourself is never genuine. Your time is valuable. Your energy is limited. Your attention is priceless. Every moment you give away should reflect your priorities, not someone else's expectations. The strongest individuals understand that protecting these resources is not selfish, it is responsible. Because when you constantly empty yourself for everyone else, eventually there is nothing left to give to your own dreams, your own family, or your own future. Never forget this. Kindness without boundaries invites exploitation, but kindness protected by self-respect inspires genuine respect. Once you begin protecting your kindness with healthy boundaries, you uncover something even deeper. The real battle was never about other people's behavior alone. It was about the invisible need that quietly shaped many of your decisions, the need to be liked by everyone. This desire seems harmless at first. It feels noble, it feels kind. But when your self-worth depends on other people's approval, you unknowingly hand them the steering wheel to your life. Think about how many decisions you've made simply to avoid disappointing someone. How many times have you agreed when every part of you wanted to say no? How often have you stayed silent because you feared conflict more than you valued honesty? In those moments, you weren't choosing peace, you were choosing permission, or you were allowing someone else's opinion to become more important than your own conviction. This is how respect quietly disappears. Not all at once, but one compromise at a time. People can sense when your actions are driven by confidence and when they are driven by fear. You may believe you're hiding your insecurity behind a smile, but human beings are remarkably perceptive. They notice hesitation. They notice when you constantly seek reassurance. They notice when you apologize for existing, when you over-explain every decision, when you desperately try to keep everyone happy. Without saying a word, you communicate that your greatest priority is being accepted. And once people realize that acceptance is your greatest weakness, some will consciously or unconsciously begin using it. The irony is painful. The more desperately you chase approval, the harder it becomes to earn genuine respect. Respect cannot grow where desperation exists. Why? Because respect is built on certainty. It comes from people who know who they are, what they stand for, and what they will not compromise. Approval, on the other hand, constantly changes. It depends on moods, preferences, circumstances, and expectations that you can never fully control. Imagine trying to hold water in your hands. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. Approval works the same way. The harder you chase it, the further it moves away. But the moment you stop chasing it and begin focusing on becoming the strongest version of yourself, something remarkable happens, or people begin coming to you instead. There is tremendous freedom in realizing that not everyone has to understand you, not everyone has to agree with you, not everyone has to like you. Some people will misunderstand your boundaries. Others will call you selfish simply because they benefited from your lack of limits. Some relationships may even disappear when you stop saying yes to everything. Let them. The relationships built only on your constant sacrifice were never built on mutual respect. They were built on convenience. And convenience always disappears when conditions change. Instead of asking yourself, how can I make everyone happy? Begin asking a different question. Am I living in a way that earns my own respect? That single shift changes everything. Because when you respect yourself, your words become stronger, your decisions become clearer, your presence becomes calmer. You stop reacting to every opinion because your identity is no longer rented out to strangers. Confidence isn't loud. It doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't seek applause after every decision. It simply acts according to principle, even when doing so is uncomfortable. That kind of quiet certainty has a magnetic quality. It attracts healthy people and exposes unhealthy ones. Those who value you will adapt. Those who only valued your compliance will resist. Remember, your purpose in life is not to collect approval like trophies. Your purpose is to become someone whose character remains steady, whether people applaud you or criticize you. When your peace no longer depends on other people's opinions, you become impossible to manipulate. The moment you stop needing everyone's approval is the moment you finally start earning genuine respect. As you stop chasing approval and begin standing on your own values, you'll notice something that surprises many people. The world starts testing you. Not because you've done something wrong, but because every relationship eventually reaches a moment where your standards are measured. This is where many kind people become confused. They think respect is something people automatically give. In reality, respect is often shaped by what you consistently allow. Life has a quiet way of presenting small tests long before the big ones arrive. Or someone interrupts you while you're speaking. A coworker repeatedly asks you to carry their responsibilities. A friend only calls when they need something. A family member ignores your time and expects immediate attention. These moments seem insignificant on their own, but together they reveal a pattern. Every small act asks the same question: where is your line? Most people don't realize that disrespect rarely begins with dramatic betrayal. It begins with tiny moments that go unaddressed. A sarcastic comment that you laugh off, a promise that someone breaks without consequence, a favor that turns into an expectation. an invasion of your personal space, your time, or your emotional energy that you convince yourself is not worth mentioning. But every time you ignore these moments, you send a message, not just to the other person, but to yourself. You teach others that your boundaries are flexible, and you teach yourself that your comfort is less important than avoiding conflict. This doesn't mean you should react to every slight with anger. In fact, anger often weakens your position because it shows emotional dependence. The strongest response is calm certainty. There is incredible power in looking someone in the eye and saying with complete composure, "I'm not comfortable with that," or "that doesn't work for me." No drama, no hostility, no long explanation, just clarity. Or people respect clarity. Many individuals spend years believing that staying silent makes them mature. Sometimes it does. Wisdom knows when to ignore meaningless criticism. But silence becomes dangerous when it protects unhealthy behavior instead of protecting your peace. There is a difference between choosing your battles and refusing to fight for your dignity. Imagine owning a beautiful home. If someone walks through the front door without knocking the first time and you say nothing, they will likely do it again. Eventually, they stop seeing it as your home and start acting as if it belongs to them. Your personal life works the same way. Your time, your energy, your attention, and your emotional well-being are your home. If you never protect the door, don't be surprised when people stop asking for permission to enter. The fascinating thing about human nature is that many people actually feel safer around someone with healthy boundaries. They know where they stand. They know what is acceptable and what isn't. Clear standards create trust. Unclear standards create confusion. Ironically, trying to avoid uncomfortable conversations often creates much bigger problems later. You also have to recognize that not everyone who tests you intends to harm you. Or sometimes people simply explore the limits because that's how relationships develop. Children do it, friends do it, colleagues do it, even successful leaders experience it. The issue isn't that the test exists. The issue is how you respond. If your response is fear, the test becomes a pattern. If your response is confidence, the test usually ends there. Never underestimate the importance of consistency. Setting one boundary means very little if you abandon it the next day. People don't learn from what you say once. They learn from what you repeatedly enforce. Every time you calmly stand by your values, you strengthen your identity. Every time you compromise your standards to keep someone comfortable, you weaken it. You don't have to raise your voice to command respect. You don't have to become intimidating, cold, or emotionally distant. Real strength isn't found in aggression. It is found in the quiet confidence to remain kind while refusing to accept treatment that diminishes your worth. Every boundary you courageously defend today becomes the foundation of the respect you will receive tomorrow. Once you've learned to recognize the tests people place before you, the next challenge is deciding how to respond. This is where most people lose their power. They believe they have only two choices: remain silent and be walked over, or explode with frustration and damage the relationship. But real strength lives in a third option. It is the ability to remain calm, kind, and completely unshakable. The strongest person in the room is rarely the loudest. The strongest person is the one who refuses to let emotions control their decisions. Anyone can react. Anyone can raise their voice. Anyone can make threats in the heat of the moment. But very few people have developed the discipline to stay composed when they are being challenged. That composure sends a powerful message. It tells the world that your actions are guided by principles, not by pressure. Think about the people who naturally command respect. They don't chase attention. They don't argue over every disagreement. They don't waste energy proving their worth. They move with quiet confidence because they understand something that many people never learn. Your emotional stability is one of your greatest sources of influence. When someone insults you, they are often looking for a reaction. If they can make you lose control, they have temporarily taken control of you. The moment your emotions become dependent on another person's behavior, they begin directing your state of mind. That is why emotional discipline is not weakness, it is freedom. This doesn't mean you become emotionless, it means you become intentional. There is a tremendous difference between feeling anger and being ruled by it. Feel the emotion acknowledge it, and then decide your response instead of allowing the emotion to decide for you. One of the most powerful words you will ever learn is no. Yet for many people, it is also the hardest word to say. They soften it with long explanations. They bury it beneath endless apologies. They hope the other person won't be offended. But every unnecessary explanation often sounds like you're asking permission to protect your own life. A confident no is short, respectful, and clear. You don't owe everyone a detailed defense of your priorities. Your time is valuable because it is limited. Every commitment you accept automatically means saying no to something else. Every unnecessary obligation steals time from your health, your family, your dreams, or your peace of mind. Understanding this changes the way you make decisions. Notice how people with strong self-respect speak. They don't rush their words. They don't fill every silence. They don't desperately seek agreement after expressing an opinion. They trust that their message can stand on its own. There is incredible authority in calm communication because it reflects inner certainty. Many people mistake kindness for constant accommodation. They believe that keeping everyone comfortable is their responsibility. But that burden is impossible to carry. You cannot protect every person's feelings without eventually neglecting your own well-being. The more you try to satisfy everyone, the more disconnected you become from yourself. Instead, practice being firm without becoming harsh, or speak honestly without becoming cruel. Walk away from conversations that exist only to provoke you. Refuse invitations that don't align with your priorities. Decline requests that violate your values. Do all of it with respect, but do it without guilt. Remember, your behavior teaches people how to interact with you. If you remain calm under pressure, others begin approaching you differently. If you consistently honor your own boundaries, people learn that your kindness is a gift, not a weakness. They understand that while you are compassionate, you are also grounded. You are generous, but you are not available for manipulation. There will always be people who dislike your confidence because they benefited from your uncertainty. Don't let that discourage you. Growth often makes uncomfortable those who were comfortable with the old version of you. Stay steady anyway. True power is never about controlling other people. It is about mastering yourself. When your peace cannot be purchased with approval, threatened by criticism, or shaken by pressure, you become someone whose presence alone commands respect. Stay calm, stay kind, and never surrender the strength that comes from knowing your own worth. After you've learned to protect your boundaries, let go of the need for approval, recognize the tests people place before you, and respond with calm confidence. Something begins to change. You no longer have to demand respect because your presence starts communicating it before you even speak. This is one of the most overlooked truths in life. Respect is less about what you say and more about who you become. Every person carries an invisible presence. Long before words are exchanged, people notice the way you walk into a room, the way you carry yourself, the way you respond to pressure, and the value you place on your own time. These silent signals shape how others treat you. If you constantly rush to please, apologize without reason, or seek validation, your presence reflects uncertainty. But when you move with quiet confidence, people instinctively recognize that you know your worth. This kind of presence is not built overnight. It is built through daily habits. The promises you keep to yourself matter just as much as the promises you keep to others. Every time you wake up when you said you would, finish the work you committed to, exercise even when you don't feel like it, or remain disciplined when nobody is watching, you strengthen something inside yourself. That inner strength eventually becomes visible to everyone around you. People often ask why some individuals naturally attract respect, while others struggle for it. The answer is rarely found in status, money, or popularity. It is found in consistency. A person who consistently honors their values becomes predictable in the best possible way. Others know they cannot pressure them into abandoning their principles. That reliability creates trust, and trust is one of the strongest foundations of respect. Another habit that transforms your presence is learning to become comfortable with silence. Many people speak too much because silence makes them nervous. They explain every decision, justify every action, and fill every pause with unnecessary words. But confidence is not measured by how much you say. It is measured by how comfortable you are letting your actions speak for you. When you stop talking simply to be noticed, people begin listening more carefully when you do speak. Your attention is another priceless resource. Where you invest it determines the quality of your life. If you constantly give your energy to drama, gossip, negativity, and relationships that drain you, your presence becomes scattered. But when you become selective with your attention, your energy becomes focused. Focused people naturally appear more grounded because they are not emotionally pulled in every direction. This also means accepting that not every relationship deserves unlimited access to you. Some people inspire your growth. Others constantly pull you backward. There are individuals who celebrate your success, and there are those who quietly resent it. Wisdom is learning the difference. Walking away from unhealthy relationships is one of the clearest signs of self-respect. It is never easy. Sometimes those relationships have existed for years. Sometimes they involve people you deeply care about. But remaining in environments where your value is constantly questioned slowly erodes your confidence. You cannot expect to flourish while remaining rooted in soil that poisons your growth. Choose environments that challenge you to become stronger, not places that reward your self-doubt. Surround yourself with people who respect your boundaries, encourage your ambitions, and celebrate your progress instead of competing with it. The quality of your circle often shapes the quality of your future. Remember, people are always watching, not in the sense of judging every move, but in the sense of learning what you believe about yourself. They observe what you tolerate, what you prioritize, how you spend your time, and how you respond when life becomes difficult. Your life becomes your loudest message. You don't create a powerful presence by demanding respect. You create it by living in a way that makes disrespect feel completely out of place. As we come to the final lesson, everything we've discussed leads to one powerful realization. The greatest mistake you can make is spending your life chasing respect from other people. Respect is not something you hunt down, it is something you attract by the way you live. The moment you stop making other people's opinions the center of your world, you begin becoming someone the world cannot easily ignore. Too many people spend years trying to convince others of their value. They work harder than everyone else just to be noticed. They give more than they can afford just to be appreciated. They stay in relationships that diminish them because they hope one more sacrifice will finally earn acceptance. But no amount of proving yourself will ever satisfy people who have already decided not to value you. That is a battle you were never meant to fight. Instead of asking, "How do I make people respect me?" begin asking a better question, "Who am I becoming every single day?" That question shifts your focus from external validation to internal transformation. It places your attention where your true power has always been. The most respected individuals are not obsessed with being respected. They are obsessed with growth. Every day they become a little wiser, a little stronger, a little more disciplined, and a little more authentic. They understand that reputation follows character, not the other way around. Build the character, and the reputation will eventually take care of itself. Think about a mountain. It doesn't announce its greatness. It doesn't compete with the hills surrounding it. It simply stands firm through every season. Storms come and go, winds rise and fall. People admire it not because it demands admiration, but because it remains unshaken. Your life should become like that mountain, stable, grounded, unmoved by temporary opinions. This is why purpose is so important. A person with a clear purpose doesn't have time to chase everyone's approval. They wake up focused on building something meaningful. They invest in their health, sharpen their skills, strengthen their character, and move steadily toward their vision. They don't waste months arguing with critics or trying to win over people who have already chosen misunderstanding. Purpose creates direction, and direction creates confidence. There will always be voices telling you that you've changed. Some will say you're becoming distant because you no longer answer every request. Others will accuse you of being selfish because you've started protecting your peace. Don't allow those words to confuse you. There's a difference between becoming selfish and developing self-respect. Selfishness says, "Only I matter." Self-respect says, "I matter too." That small difference changes everything. As you continue growing, you'll notice something remarkable. The people who truly care about you won't be threatened by your boundaries. They'll respect them. They'll celebrate your progress instead of resisting it. Healthy relationships become stronger when both people value themselves. Unhealthy relationships often fall apart because they depended on one person constantly sacrificing. Except that not everyone will walk with you into your next chapter. Some people belong to your past, not because they're evil, but because your growth no longer matches their expectations. Letting go is sometimes the highest form of wisdom. Never forget that confidence isn't pretending to be perfect. Confidence is knowing your imperfections without allowing them to define your future. It's waking up each morning committed to becoming better than you were yesterday. It is choosing discipline over excuses, principles over popularity, and purpose over temporary comfort. Every decision you make either strengthens your identity or weakens it. Every promise you keep to yourself builds trust within your own heart. Every boundary you honor reminds you that your life has value. Every courageous choice becomes another brick in the foundation of the person you are becoming. One day people will ask what changed. They will notice that you speak with more certainty, carry yourself with more peace, and no longer seek permission to be yourself. They will wonder why their words no longer control your emotions and why their approval no longer determines your happiness. The answer is simple. You stopped chasing respect and started becoming someone who naturally inspires it. Protect your peace, honor your values, and become the kind of person whose character speaks so loudly that respect follows without ever being asked for.